Honorable, the Deputy Speaker.
As we resume after tea, I will recognize the member for point 14. You have an additional 11 minutes. 11 minutes of your initial speaking time. And do you care to avail yourself for your additional 15 one time?
Yes, Mr. Deputy.
Kindly proceed.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I want to go back slightly to what I was addressing before the tea break. And it had to do with the part of the motion, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that spoke to women, children, and the elderly experiencing unprecedented level under the serious crime. And I started quoting from the Crime and Problem Analysis branch of Trinidad Police Service. And I mentioned I used the base years, 2011, 2012, and 2013, the first 3 years of the then government and the first 3 years of this government. So it's apples and apples I'm comparing. When we look at victims of crime under 17 years, serious crimes for the period, 2011 was 977, compared to 2016, 572. 2012, 1,304, compared to 2017, 589. 2013, 776 to date, in 2018, 326. So when the member for Separa and the member for Naparima spoke about serious crimes in our period, I think they try to fool the people, fool the people, fool the people. These are the facts, Mr. Deputy Speaker. These are the facts. So therefore we could already reject this part of the motion that spoke to the children being under attack in the most vicious ways in our period. You can reject that outwardly. The statistics shows that for itself. Let me go on again. I deal with the victims of crime 60 years and older because the motion spoke about the elderly. Base years again, apples and apples, 2011, 2012, 2013, compared to 2016, 2017, and 2018. 2011, Mr. Deputy Speaker, 1,397 victims of crime, 60 years and older, compared to 2016, 1,209. Less than during that period, Mr. Deputy Speaker. 2012, 1,590 compared to 2017, 1,232. 2013, 1,151 compared to 2018 to date, 511. So where is the unprecedented level that member for Naparima comes and acted out as though this is an unprecedented level? You can't tell me my data is accurate. You know where it comes from. You spoke to yourself. Your data is inaccurate. I told you where my data comes from. I said it comes from the Crime and Problem Analysis branch. I know where my data come from. Where the MP for Naparima data come from? That's the question you should ask. Don't ask this question. This is an honest gentleman here. Right? Mr. Deputy Speaker, female victims of serious crime. Again, mention in the motion. Women have been under attack in the most vicious way ever experienced as a result of the rampant women. And the member for Naparima came and he was gathering for the camera, man. Gathering for the camera. Emotional outbursts, as usual as he does. 2011, base years again. 2011, 5,450 female victims of serious crime. 2016, 3,879. Yeah? 2012, 6,473 female victims of serious crimes. In 2017, 3,977. Yes? 3,900. But you were the one who said that the woman was subject unexperienced. I will quote you, unprecedented levels. The woman, the statistics prove you wrong. Wrong! Don't come and fool the people with your geriatrics. These are the facts of the citizens of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. These are the facts. Don't mislead the population. When you come with a curious motion here to think people, don't mislead the population. 2013, 4,537 compared to 2018, 1,766. You see? So everything that you said in your motion has been rejected by the statistics I just put forward here. Rejected completely. Rejected completely. Rejected completely.
Members, member, again, there's an ongoing, I have recognized the member for point 14. Member for Naparima, I know you are the mover of the motion, but again, you're not allowed to break the standing order by continuous making debatable statements. So again, point 14, proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I can handle him, he's a minion.
No,
Mr. Deputy
again,
Speaker.
address the chair, sir. Address the
Mr.
chair.
Deputy Speaker, certainly. Mr. Deputy Speaker, you know, the member for Siparia mentioned about the NOC. And she talked about the MOC as this coordinating center. Lost, don't understand security, Doesn't understand security. Because I recall, let me remind the people of Trinidad and Tobago that I was the Chief of Defense Staff for the first 6 months of this government, I was the Chief of Defense Staff until I retired in November 2010. I was there from May 2010 to November 2010. The very first National Security Council meeting that we had. You know what happened, Mr. Deputy Speaker? The press was invited to that meeting. The press, I don't know if you all remember that picture with Commissioner of Police James Filbert, Chief of Defense Staff Edmund Dillon, and you saw the look on our face on that picture on the front page of the newspaper. The National Security Council, the media was invited to a meeting of the National Security Council. Who was the chair of that council? The MP for Siparia, then Prime Minister. That, I tell you, is a demonstration of an understanding of security. Exactly. On the front page of the newspaper, National Security Council. If you understand that, we don't even allow to carry telephones in that meeting. Exactly. The press was invited. That gives you an understanding. And I'm telling you, I was the Chief of Defense Staff at the time, so I'm telling you I was there. That's the understanding of security. Yeah. In the meeting.
Silence.
You see, and then again, you talk about the NOC. The NOC, during that time, was placed on the office of the Prime Minister. You know what happened? Our intelligence partners at that time failed to do any relationship with that NOC because it was illegal. It wasn't a legal entity. This government have placed, not the NOC, it's a fusion center. It's not a national operations center. It's an intelligence fusion center. It is now placed under a legal footing because we have made the SSA a legal entity. Now our international partners are talking to us because they are talking to a legal entity that we have put in power. So when the member for Siparia talk about the NOC as a coordinating center, again, she doesn't understand the nature of security. Regionally, we lost our status under that last government. We lost it completely. We're always the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the lead for security in CARICOM. We saw what happened. Our Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, has now been able to rebuild the status of Trinidad and Tobago as lead for crime and security in this country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I think that this motion should be no confidence in that, in that other side. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, even Mr. Satmaraj has given them a no vote of confidence. Mr. Deputy Speaker, let me go on to talk about some things that I have done as Minister of National Security. Because you understand, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that the government and the ministers are responsible for policy and strategies and directions of the entities under their charge. In particular, the Ministry of National Security. Policies and strategies and directions. That is what I, as Minister of National Security, am responsible for, because the member from Naparima talks about, they have demonstrated failure to properly discharge his functions. What's the functions of the minister? What are the functions of the minister? The minister is there to develop policies, strategies, and directions for the entities under his charge. That's what he's there to do. And let me put it, let me give you it, because from the Constitution, we're dealing with two main entities in law enforcement and security. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. Let me tell you what the Constitution says. The Constitution under 123A says, subject to section 123(1), the Commissioner of Police shall have the complete power to manage the police service and is required to ensure that the human, financial, material resources available to the services are used in an efficient and effective manner. Complete power. The Commissioner of Police under the Constitution. Under the Constitution, the Commissioner of Police, the minister doesn't have that power. The minister is our policy, strategies, and directions. That's the Constitution. So when you come here and talk about the function of the minister again in your motion, strike it out. Strike it out once again. Strike it out. And let me go to the Defense Act now. The Defense Act, Section 191(2). The Chief of Defense Staff, who shall be appointed from among the officers of the force, shall be vested with the responsibility for the operational use of the force, and shall in the exercise of any power connected with such responsibility conform with any special or general directions of the minister. The operation control of the defense force is the Chief of Defense Staff by law, just as the Commissioner of Police. The minister cannot tell the Chief of Defense Staff or instruct the Chief of Defense Staff or the Commissioner of Police about operational matters. It's about policy and strategy and direction. The laws say that. So when you bring a curious motion here talking about the function, the charges, functions, and so on, it's about policy, directions, and strategy. And let me show you, let me give you some examples. Let me tell you, I will tell you. The strategic plan for the period 2018 to 2023 was developed based on my input, my direction, the Minister of National Security. And let me tell you, and I have, Mr. Deputy Speaker, with your permission, I have your permission to display this document. So this is not a document that is the strategic plan 2018 to 2023. It's a living document. Policy and strategy, a living document. Never before, you had 5 ministers ask them for a policy document, ask them for a strategy document, ask them for a strategy document, ask them for a strategy document. None. It's the first time in the history of the Ministry of National Security that there's such a document that we can look at and give a reference point. Yes. National security policy is another one. First time again, 2018 to 2023, a statement of principles that establish a national understanding of the risks, the threats, and the challenges to security in this country. Talks about our national interests and how we, as a country, relate to other states within the region and within the hemisphere. That is subject to cabinet approval. Again, 5 ministers, no policy, no strategy. This minister have done that. We are about policy, strategy, and directions. Yes. The counter-terrorism strategy. I don't have time. I could give you it to read. You'll read it. You could ask for it. It's a public document. You'll read it. I don't have time to give you that. But I'm telling you, it's about policy and strategy. At least anyone can go to the ministry. Our international partners can come to the Ministry of National Security and say, what is your policy on this? What is your strategy on this? And we can provide it. You can come to the ministry and ask for that, and you can be presented with a paper. You can get that. You could never have gotten that before. You can ask for it. It's available. You can ask for a policy document. You can do that, but you're not interested in that. The first time ever. The counter-terrorism strategy. Our counter-terrorism was approved in 2017, right? And it guides our response as a country to Trinidad and Tobago, and I've already gotten the permission from the Deputy Speaker. Yes, a living document. A living document that you can see, you can refer to. We can refer to it. There is something here that you can refer to. Never happened before. You had 5 ministers of national security, ask them, where is your policy? Where is your strategy? Not one can be presented over the 5 years that you were in power. That is what this minister and this government is all about. Providing policy and directions to the ministry, to the variances under the charge. Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, let me look at some of the areas or initiatives that have been taken under this minister and this ministry and this government. The video conferencing facility. The video conferencing facility, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is an initiative that has borne fruit under this government. It's due to be completed by the end of this year, early next year, because of some contractual problems that NIPDEC is working out right now. But it will be finished. I can tell you it will be finished by the end of this year. That video conferencing facility is one that will reduce substantial costs to the government of Trinidad and Tobago, because no longer would you have to take prisoners from remand to send them to Tobago, to Point Fortin, to Siparia, to Port of Spain. It will be taken a simple walk from the remand yard into the video conferencing center, saving the government about $80 million, Mr. Deputy Speaker. This is what this government is about. This is what this minister is all about. Electronic monitoring. Electronic monitoring. Electronic monitoring. Yes, it's coming. It's coming. It's on the books. Yeah, since 2012. Nothing happening. Oh, you had it there. 5 years you had it there. Write down the history. 5 years you had it to work with. 5 years. 5 years. Nothing happened. It took this government and this minister to kick it off. Yeah? To date right now, here the update. iGovTT has been formally engaged by the Ministry to carry out the procurement of the electronic monitor solution. Yeah. A request for proposal has been issued for the provision of electronic monitoring devices and solutions, and the submission of tenders closed on July the 6th, 2018. Next couple of weeks, submission closes. On July the 6th, 2018, tenders will be closed. The electronic monitoring unit is operating out of, is already housed in an area. I wouldn't give you the address for security reasons. The positions of manager, deputy manager, business operating clients, and drivers has been filled. Persons have been identified for the other positions, and we brought on board upon award of the contract for provision of the devices. That is the minister working. Yeah. DNA data bank. Again, you had it there since 2012. Since 2012, you had it. 5 ministers of national security. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. It is this minister and this government. This minister and this government have moved the process forward. Yeah? To the extent where right now, the National Forensic Data Bank unit is set up with the necessary hardware, the software, and the firmware. The positions of, it's set up already. The position of manager, database specialist, data bank analysts have been filled. Persons for the other position have been identified and will assume their positions in the near future. The custodian manager has been in discussion with the Trinidad Forensic Science Center to secure availability of DNA profiles currently in the possession of the Forensic Science Center. The Ministry of National Security, of which I have the honor to lead, has acquired 15,000 buccal swabs to start the process of collecting DNA samples. Yes, and now we have already started, because the first target group is incarcerated persons, and then we come to you after we'll take a swab from you too. Yeah. And take a swab from you too. The custodian manager started the training process in DNA, sample collection with the various stakeholders, inclusive of the police service, the prison service, the regional health authority. Right? The regulations of the Port Act has been passed by Parliament and been gazetted. Upgrade of the electrical and plumbing system of Remania at Golden Grove. The government has invested in that. The Ministry have signed the contract with NICDEC to have the upgrade executed. NICDEC has conducted the procurement of a design consultant, and they're working. Go ahead and take. Construction of the Girls Rehabilitation Center at YTC. Yeah? We're working. This minister is working. Check it. Minister of National Security has signed the contract with NICDEC to have the construction of the rehab center executed. NICDEC is currently engaged in developing the design brief. Construction of the new Forensic Science Center. You talk about it. Construction of the new Forensic Science Center. Let me tell you, it's coming. Cabinet has approved the sourcing a grant from the Chinese government to fund the construction of the DNA laboratory service in Mount Hope. That is coming on stream, a new Forensic Science Center. Construction of a correction facilities in Hope, Tobago. UDCOT is currently developing the design brief for that project to bring the load of the prison in Tobago. And there are a number of other things, but time doesn't permit, I'll give you some more. The municipal police that you spoke about, oh yes, that is coming. We have already started the recruitment process for that. Already, persons have been examined and they're being processed to take up the positions. We promise that, and you will get that in the next couple of months. They will be. They have already been processed. Our closed-circuit television that you all had, that you did nothing with it. We have taken a decision to re-engineering and expand the CCTV network. We have to look at it because the technology is outdated. We need to upgrade the technology. We have to re-engineer that now, and that's what this government is doing, because we have to be with the times. We understand how technology plays a very important part in the role of crime fighting. Yes, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we are launching in the next couple of weeks or so the National Crime Prevention Program, and it's coming. We take a number of things took place already. Stakeholder meetings with the municipalities and Tobago House of Assembly have taken place. All the CEOs, the mayors were at that meeting. We had them there, and we started in 3 areas, you know. 3 areas. Chaguanas, Diego Martin, and Tobago. All the stakeholders have been informed. All the stakeholders are on board. That is going to change the way we think, because we are empowering the communities to be part and parcel of the crime initiative, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And what we call, and our manifesto spoke about it, and a whole of government approach, bringing all the ministries to bear in the issue of crime and criminality in our various communities. Mr. Deputy Speaker, and we will continue. We continue because we have the counter-trafficking unit. Counter-trafficking unit has been boosted by a number of additional human resource elements, because it's an issue in an area that we have to spend some time with. The Joint Border Protection Agency It's already starting to take shape, I can tell you, because we started with the Joint Public Protection Management Agency. And based on the team that we put together, they advised that we form a Joint Border Protection Task Force. And that is what we are doing. That is what we are doing. Again, it's going to change the way we think, the way in which we do issues in Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we will continue with a number of other initiatives. But I want to also add that while we as a country continue to treat those initiatives, we also understand that we are a state of interdependence. Interdependence suggests that, and I can educate the member for Napoleon, he's a professed foreign affairs expert. But I too am. Yes, he's a professor. I have a master's in international relations. And we understand that we have to relate to our international partners. And to that end, this Minister of National Security has re-established bilateral cooperation with Venezuela. Yes, we have done that. And what that we down to? What that has down to is that now the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard commander can talk to his counterpart in the Guadacosta and in Guardia Nacional. We have direct contact with one another. You don't have to go through any bureaucracy anymore. We have established joint patrols on either side of the dividing line. We have also established contact with the Colombians because there was a bilateral cooperation that went dormant during the last administration, where we had in terms of police training and defensive training, based on their experience. We have reestablished that, and we're about to send policemen to get some experience in Colombia to deal with issues that are common to our own jurisdiction here in Trinidad and Tobago. Lord Ahmad, the British Minister of State responsible for the United Nations Commonwealth Affairs, on 17 November last year, we signed an MOU to effect security arrangements, security training, security exchanges with the United Kingdom. Yeah? We continue to relate to Canada. We continue in terms of Canada. We have a very good partnership with Canada right now with respect to our prison system. The Correctional Service of Canada is now partnering with us. In fact, we signed that MOU, partnering with us to move from prison to correction. In other words, to move to restoration of justice and rehabilitation of prisoners, because they have experience in that way. And also, to add in terms of construction of prisons and so on. So we're working with the Canadians to assist us in that regard, and they're helping us tremendously. The United States, long-serving allies of us. And so we continue to work with them. With the PISIS system, the PISIS agreement has been signed, and it will be implemented soon. It will, again, help us tremendously in our border control system, our border management system, at our airports, at our seaports, and so on. It will give us additional clout, additional information, additional intelligence to share with people coming in and leaving our shores. Yeah? And even as we do that locally, I have had discussion with the airport authority, and they have agreed, and they have in fact purchased kiosks. So you're going to see in the not too distant future, kiosks where you can, just like you go into the United States, where you can go in, type your passport, and come into Trinidad and Tobago. We're also going to initiate e-gates and check in your passport going out, which is now done by the airlines. But we want to have real-time information. So as you're leaving, we can swipe, we can get at real-time that you have left the country. And therefore, we know when you're coming and when you're going. That's the initiative. That's the work of the Minister of National Security. That's what's going to happen, and it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. You know. Yeah. And in fact, you know, together with the United States, we held an exercise here quite recently called Fuse Response. Fuse Response was an exercise that was really groundbreaking, you know, in terms of bilateral experience. It tells us to a large extent, and you know what has happened in that exercise? Let me tell you something that happened in that exercise. We were able to exercise the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago in terms of our structure, including our National Security Council was part of that exercise. I don't think that ever happened in your time. You all didn't have time for that. National Security Council didn't have time for that. If something happened, they didn't have a clue what's going to happen. This National Security Council have been practiced and exercised. And if there's a crisis response, we know exactly what we're going to do. We have walked at a tabletop exercise, and we participated in that exercise. We participated in that exercise.
Remember, you have 2 more minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I can go on and on because there's so much that this minister has done. I don't have enough time to say it, Mr. Deputy Speaker. So much, so much. I mean, I can go on because I can briefly talk about the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service has done yeoman service, and I want to congratulate and thank the members of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service for the human work that they have been doing, the gun retrieval strategy. Yeah? They'll be doing human service. Last year, they took the most amount of weapons off the street of Trinidad and Tobago, 1,000. Today, they have already crossed 5,000 things. They continue, Mr. Deputy Speaker, to do so. But let me spend it, and I will thank the members of the Defense Force also. We have had the joint patrols. We made a difference in Sugram, Trace Lab, until by a joint army base. We made a difference in Enterprise. And the member could tell you that when we established that base in Lion Gate, for the immediate time, there was a reduction in the unruly ISIS in Enterprise. We have, by our presence there, we have destroyed them. We will destroy them. There's still remnants, but we're going to go at them again. When we went there, we really separated them. Yeah, we separated them in Enterprise. Sugram, Trace, Lavantel, and we continue the joint police patrol. I have instituted I've given directions to the Commissioner Board Chief of Defense that we have to institute land-based coastal patrol, joint between Army and police, and that's being done in our rural areas. But let me also end, Mr. Deputy Speaker, because I cannot not end without asking my constituents of Point 14, who have worked to understand, and thank them for their support, because in Point 14, we turned the salt for Micah Oval recently. Thanks for the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs. In Point 14, the hospital. In Point 14, the hospital is coming on stream. Point 14, the highway is coming on stream. This minister, in addition to ministerial duty, the largest ministry, is also making inroads in his constituency. So, I reject outright that motion, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Reject it outright. Shelve it. Put it in the garbage.
I recognize the member for Shogunas East.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Let me first of all congratulate my colleague, the Member of Parliament for Naparima, for bringing this motion, a very timely motion. In fact, it might have been long in coming. It should have been here long before now, because the amount of people who would have lost their lives, as the Member of Parliament indicated, over 1,300 persons and more during the time that this government has been in office. I also want to compliment the contribution of the Leader of the Opposition. But I think it is important in the short time I have here this evening to correct some of the things. And I want to say that, I never thought that, and let me just repeat what the Leader of the Opposition said. The member for Point Fortin is a good man, he just can't perform well. And I'll tell you some of the figures, because he quoted extensively, and I want to reply to those figures as well. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the murder toll, I have a data sheet here from CAPA, the same sheet that he is using, for the period 1985 to 2018. And the Honorable Leader of the Opposition indicated that there was a statement that was made by a journalist that whenever the PNM is in government, the crime rate increases. And I am going to show the statistics here. I am going to be given the statistics. In the period 1996, when the UNC was there, was 107, the murder toll. In 1998, it went down to 98. And in 1999, it went down to 93. Let us examine what has happened under the PNM. Under the PNM in 2008, we had 550 murders. What? In 2009, we had 508 murders. And then came in the People's Partnership in 2010. For 2010, 473, so it went down immediately. 2011, 352. What? 2012, 379. What? 2013, 407. Let us see what has happened for the last 2 years under the PNM. 2016, 463. And 2017, 494. What kind of performance is that? And I want to also indicate, the Honourable Member, the Minister of National Security, stated figures with respect to total serious crimes reported. And I have the same data as well, from 1970 to 2017. Under the PNM in 2009, total serious crimes reported was 22,162. In comes the People's Partnership under Mrs. Kamla Prasad Visesa, and in 2010, we took that down immediately to 20,126. In 2012, 2014, it went for the lowest figure in 31 years to 12,055. In 2015, it went down to 11,135. In 2017, it has gone up to 11,477. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I understand the kind of support that the member for Point Fortin says he has. And when I came in here to the Parliament this evening, I saw hundreds of persons outside with numbers. But you know what I saw? The member of Parliament walked with 6 persons in red jerseys to support him. If that is the kind of support that this member of Parliament and Minister of National Security has, this motion is one that we should support and vote in support of. But since we are dealing with statistics, and in the time I have allocated, I think as he mentioned, the honorable member mentioned, enterprise. And I hope that the people in enterprise are listening. Because he said he got rid of the gangs in enterprise. And we'll repeat that. I'm going to get the answer. I'm going to repeat that again. And I want the people of enterprise to listen and listen carefully. Unruly like ISIS. But I also want to say to the people in enterprise, I hope they remembered when I walked with the Honorable Minister in 2017, and he promised, and the Hansard is here, I have the copy of the Hansard, where he said, yes, he will put a police station in enterprise. He subsequently came back to answer the question in 2018 to say that he does not have the land as yet, and he has to get state lands. But there are people who get state land. You've seen it in the papers regularly. There are people who could get state land. How come the Minister of National Security, a member of the cabinet, cannot get state land, a small piece of state land, to build a police station in enterprise? I want to know. And I want to give some statistics as well to the Minister of National Security. And we are talking about performance. I am going to quote here serious reported crimes, and I'm using the area in which I am from, and also my colleagues, because only recently, the Member of Parliament for Caroni Central, in response to the murders taking place in his constituency, and the other MPs in the area, Tabakit and Pointe-à-Pied and Couva North, Couva South, Caroni Central, and Caroni East, all of these people are experiencing. You know, if people listen carefully to this Minister of National Security today, we will feel we have no problem at all. The place is safe. You take a poll. You ask anybody, is it safe to go out into your homes, to your mosques, to your mandates, to your churches? There are some churches that are no longer having night services. And don't talk about Old Year's Night and so on and Christmas. Why? And if you want to prove this, what I'm saying correct, look at the scorecard of this government in the last 2 years, as reported in papers, and you will see the significant percentage of people who are saying they have no confidence in the Minister of National Security and the government of the People's National Movement. So I said I want to give you some figures, because these figures are a part of the Central Division. And the Honorable Minister is quoting figures, so I want to tell him about the figures in Central. And this is something that is very important for us. If he is saying that everything is so well, I want to show him what the reality on the ground is. And this is for the period June the 9th, 2017 to 2018, most current period. And I'm quoting from SRC status check, January 1 to June the 9th, 2017 versus 2018. Mr. Deputy Speaker, for the period 2017-2018, for the Central Division, murders went in 2017 from 39, and in 2018, it went up to 49. So for the 2 years, what we found happening is that we had an increase, and for 2 years, there were 88 murders in 2 years for the Central Division. Woundings and shootings, 38 in 2017, 83 in 2018, which gives us a total of 121 woundings and shootings in Central Division. The Honorable Minister just made mention about women and children. And for rapes under the heading rapes, incest, and other sexual offenses, 19 in 2017, 34 in 2018, giving us a total in 2 years of 53. Mr. Deputy Speaker, there's a new phenomenon taking place, and I'm sure we are experiencing this throughout the country. But in the Central Division, I want to give you the figures, and I'll tell you what we are doing about it. For burglaries and break-ins, in 2017, there were 141 reported cases. In 2018, there were 139. So for the 2 years, we experienced in the Central Division 280 burglaries and break-ins. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, you will know, there are many persons who may have experienced burglaries and break-ins and who are scared, who are afraid to go and report. So these are only what have been reported to the police. But something that will startle you here, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Robberies in Central Trinidad. Robberies. In 2017, 173 reported cases. In 2018, 207 reported cases. For 2 years, giving you a total of 380. Does that sound that something requires a song and a dance and fury and celebration and plans? I want to ask the Honorable Minister of National Security, you're boasting that you have a strategic plan. Tell us what are your KPIs and tell us and give us the projections of what you intend to reduce crime and robberies and criminalities by. I hope you could hear that. I hope you could see that in the strategic plan. Lastly, Mr. Deputy President, Speaker, in 2017, 119. In 2018, 127, giving us a total of 246 larceny of motor vehicles. Some people are afraid. You should see how they put bars, weld bars onto the posts of their homes. So scared that they would lose their vehicles. Larceny of motor vehicles, 59. In 2017, 36 in 2018, a total of 95. The Honorable Minister made mention about the possession of firearms and firearms-related crimes. Possession of firearms and ammunition in Central Trinidad went up. It was 65 in 2017 and 81 in 2018, giving us a total of 146. I want to ask some questions with respect to getting these firearms. How come, when you read the newspaper articles, and the one happened in the Caroni Central constituency recently, firearms are being found where? In the bushes, in dark areas. What about how many firearms have been found in motor cars, or in people's homes, or in places of work? Illegal firearms. Are we hearing anything about that? Whenever you find a firearm, I am advised that you get a $500 reward. A $500 reward. So we want to find out how much money has been paid to persons who are supposed to be doing their work under normal circumstances as an incentive. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I just want to conclude the data and the statistics by saying that the total serious crimes reported for the Central Division for 2017 and 2018, for 2017 was 757. For 2018 was 916, which gives us a total of 1,673. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the motion has to do with loss of confidence or no confidence in the Minister of National Security. But I think one of the things that we need to bring to bear here today is when an employer says that I have lost confidence in an employee, and in this case, when the electorate says that we have lost confidence in you, who we have voted for, who we have placed there, as the Minister of National Security now, let me tell you,
silence.
Let me tell you some of the criteria that people look at in terms of dishonest, in terms of loss of confidence. Among the things that people take into consideration for loss of confidence is dishonesty, which includes distortion of the truth, misleading information. I would not even use the words lying because that is unparliamentary. They also say that a person may lose confidence in someone else because of incompetence, because of poor performance, because of trust, and because of questionable character, among other things. I say that, Mr. Deputy Speaker, because I think we must ask the question, are these all appropriate criteria by which we must conclude that this motion is well placed? And the fact is that the country has lost confidence in the Minister of National Security.
Go.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, we need, and persons in office need to have the moral authority. And all moral authority is lost with this minister. I want to use a terminology that the attorneys use. It is called elderly abuse. How could a Minister of National Security, without moral authority, manage a police and military force? I want to say something as well, and I want to resonate this with the national community. The Honorable Minister of National Security indicated today that he is a true patriot. In fact, when you listen to the presentations from Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, and from the member for Point Fortin, it seems as though the debate has been skewed into the direction of a motion on patriotism. This is a motion on the performance of the Minister of National Security. And from all appearances, according to the persons who celebrated Labor Day recently too, they give a failing grade. And my colleague from NAPREMA went exhaustively in terms of all of those kinds of analysis. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to also raise the issue, in just passing, as I'm talking about moral authority, about the Mr. Piper issue in New York, as was carried in the local newspaper. The scandal over, I want to also raise, what about the scandals? We have been hearing about allegations, and I want to say, what we have found here in this parliament today, what we have found here in this parliament today
Members,
is serious.
Members, hold on 1 second. Members, hold on 1 second. 1 second. Members, hold on. Members, again. Member for Point 14, I'm on my legs. I'm on my legs. Member for Shogunas East, again, as the Deputy Speaker, I will determine the extent of how much you're going to go into whatever comment is being made, right? Whether what has been said before or what is going to be said as the debate continues, all right? So again, let me hear what point you're going to come with, and I will determine the extent of it.
Thank you.
Right.
Mr. Deputy Speaker,
So we are not dealing with personality, we are dealing with regards to the office of the Minister of National Security. Let's be careful.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I am only reporting what was reported. I mean no discourtesy to the Minister of National Security. And not offensive at all. As a matter of fact, what I was saying, but this is in the public domain. This is in the public domain. I'm just moving on to another point.
Determine accordingly. Proceed.
I'm just moving on to another point. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we have heard recently as well about allegations over contract for unmarked vehicles. That is not an allegation against anybody. That is in the public domain, with high government officials being a part of that. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this motion, as I indicated, is not about public service or patriotic duty. This motion has to do with the incompetence of the Minister of National Security, the motion as defined by my colleague from NAPREMA. I also want to indicate that this issue is on performance-based. And therefore, as I stated before, when you look at the document in terms of the KPIs, the key performance indicators, we could only have gotten those from the PNM manifesto under the section of crime, in which it speaks in some detail about what the government now has adopted as policy, government policy, for the country. But what we are more interested in, as I continue in this, is the issue is on results. And so far, we have seen no results except the statistics. But when you look at the data and you look at the reality, they construct two different things. The issue is not about only policy and strategy. What are the results I'm asking? What have you done to make a difference in the lives of citizens? And what are you going to do to make a difference in the lives of citizens? Can the minister tell the commissioner what the results he wants to see? How much reduction in murders? How much reduction in serious crimes? How much reduction in home invasions? Could the Minister of National Security ask the commissioner to produce these results? And in fact, it is my view that every month we should be getting results in the Parliament up to date. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I think it's important as we continue in terms of the data to provide statistics to refute some of the things or to give details which have not been given to some extent. All it would have been given by my colleague from Naparima, but to repeat some of those things. From January to April 2018, compared to the same period last year, there's an increase of 15.5% in the possession of firearms and ammunition offenses, according to the TTPS. What we have also witnessed as well, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is that there's an increase in the number of gangs. And this was also alluded to by the Honorable Attorney General, that between 2014 and this year, gangs in Trinidad and Tobago have increased 129%, and gang members have increased 60%. And I ask the question, I think it might be a rhetorical question, are we seeing an exponential rise in gang activity? Well, we had the recent anti-gang legislation, and we are anxiously looking forward to see the impact of that in terms of the reduction of gangs and gang activity. He said, the Attorney General, the Honorable Attorney General, in piloting the anti-gang legislation in Parliament in December 2017 said, in 2014, the acting police commissioner had said there were 92 gangs with 1,500 members. In 2016, it grew to 172 gangs and 2,358 members. Today, it's 211 gangs and 2,458 members. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I think what we are also witnessing here is the fact that when the Honorable Minister spoke, he indicated that there was some emphasis in terms of the youth, the young people in Trinidad and Tobago. And I ask the question, because of my knowledge of that sector, how is it that we want to assist these young people to ensure that we have programs, education and training programs, that will assist them in a life in the future, a purpose-driven life, as opposed to reducing the opportunity of these young persons who may be inclined to pursue a livelihood through crime and criminality. And therefore, Mr. Deputy Speaker, when we look at some of the programs to these young people, one could understand why you have the potential or the propensity for increasing deviance, in violence, in discipline, in crime and criminality. For the OJT program, for the period 2016 to 2018, you had a reduction in the allocation from $348 million to $223 million in 2018. That was a decrease of $125 million. The MIC craft programs were reduced in 2016 from 26 million to 12 million, a reduction of $14 million. The NESC program moved from 52 million in 2016 to 18 million in 2018, a reduction of $34 million. The YTEP program saw again a very drastic reduction from $103 million in 2016 to $55 million in 2018, a decrease of $48 million. But one of the programs that were run through the Ministry of National Security were the two programs, but in fact the NESC had responsibility for the MyPAD program. But that program moved from $14 million to $7 million, a reduction of $7 million. The MUST program, again, which involves a number of young people, moved from $50 million in 2016 to $20 million in 2018, a reduction of $30 million. And the HIGH program, helping youth prepare for employment, moved from $38 million in 2016 to $14 million in 2018, a decrease of $24 million. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I know it is very hard for persons who would have lost their loved ones, and they need to be comforted in many ways. And I think it is important for us, and this is not to do it theatrically or to use theater or drama. Again, I am just reporting what was reported in the newspaper. And some of the things that were said, and I quote from the Monday, the 11th of June, 2018. And this is a mother speaking on a murdered teen. She said, "I want back my child." In another headline we saw on May 2018, May 19th, gunmen riddle car with bullets. But this one, I'm sure, touched the heart of many people. Uber driver dad gets eerie message. Your son's sleeping, and he can't wake up. Teen among three gunned down in Laventille. And the question was being asked by one of the persons related to this teen is, oh God, we have to stop this. When? We also had a situation in Malabar where there was great grief, where bandits slit the throat of a woman and a teenager. And a Chinese mart owner was killed after resisting bandits. I ask the question, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is this any indication that things are going good? That based on the presentation by the Honourable Member for Point 14, the Minister of National Security, that citizens in this country can have comfort even when we leave this debate today, when we go to our various homes and our communities, that things are improving. And I want to give an example. In the constituency of Chaguanas East, we have been seeing a good response to meetings called by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service in the Central Division, and with councillors, and one particular councillor in the Montrose area, where we are forming neighborhood crime watch groups. So far, 18 meetings have been held, and there are 30 more meetings to be held. And in every case, people are responding to these, and they're telling you how scared they are. And what is happening is that we are developing a mobile application where people can be in touch with each other to call and say something if you see something. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I think one of the other important aspects I want to raise, and I did so in terms of trust. I spoke about trust or breach of trust being one of the circumstances in which someone may lose confidence in another person. And I'm just going to be quoting from the Police Complaints Authority, location of complaints by divisions. In the Northern Division, there were 52 instances of reports. In the Central Division, 45. Port of Spain, 35. Tobago, 35. Northeastern, 30. Southern, 23, and so on and so on. And with respect to the Central Division, the number of complaints against the police from the Police Complaints Authority, from the official data that I have, reveal that in Chaguanas, there are 16, and this is for the most recent period, and in Cunupia there were 8. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I think it's important for us as well to examine the workload, as it were. Sometimes when persons have a difficulty in performing, one might want to consider the amount of things that they are responsible for. And I think it's important for us to record the role and responsibility excuse me, of the Minister of National Security. And again, I'm just reporting from the Gazette. It is not an indictment, and I hope my friend does not take that as it is, and it was not mentioned to be like that. I'm just giving the facts. The Minister of National Security, as of September the 9th, 2015, has been bestowed with the responsibility of administering the following: 18 divisions of national security, 8 committees, 4 programs, and 7 statutory boards and other bodies. Sorry? Yeah, okay. He's also responsible for airspace and territorial waters, the cadet force, citizenship, the defense force, regiment, coast guard, air guard, and defense force reserves, drug enforcement interdiction, drug trafficking and money laundering, global security issues. And as I'm talking about security issues, I know the Honorable Minister mentioned that there was a cybercrime unit. My information is that unit has not been formed. It is before the Attorney General. And therefore, we await that as well, and that is something that has not been delivered as has been promised. Global security issues, supplemental police, immigration, intelligence, internal security, management of illegal immigrants and deportees, national emergency disaster, ODPM, probation services, public order and safety, and I can go on and on. The point I'm making as well, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is that it's a lot of responsibility for the Minister of National Security.
Honourable Member, just for the records, your initial 30 minutes have expired, and you have an additional 15. You care to avail yourself?
Yes, sure.
Right? For procedural purposes, it must be done.
Could you see how much more time I have?
We should adjourn at 6.
At 6, okay. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I was at the point where I was talking about the amount of responsibility that the Ministry of National Security is placed with. And in this circumstance, the Minister of National Security has 2 other persons who assist him: Parliamentary Secretary, the member for Toko Sandigrandi, and also the Minister of CARICOM and Foreign Affairs, who is a minister in the Ministry of National Security. Well, whenever the Minister of CARICOM Affairs and Foreign Affairs comes to this Parliament, we always look forward. We look forward to his presence, and sometimes we engage in some amusement. The member for Toko Sandigrandi spoke on last Wednesday, and I would have liked to say something more on that with respect to her contribution. But what I wanted to indicate is that on the anti-terrorism bill, and it goes as well in terms of the leadership of the Ministry of National Security, you have a person who is assigned to that ministry, who would have flown thousands of miles. I would have given us a presentation of 10 minutes in terms of the anti-terrorism bill. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I know that my time is about to expire here in terms of my contribution. I wish I had more time, because as far as private members is concerned. But I would like to ensure, again, as I conclude, that we support this motion of my colleague, the member for Naparima. And I want to say, as I conclude, there's a popular saying: lead or get out of the way. And since it is clear to all of us that the Ministry of National Security and the Minister of National Security is unable, incapable, and incompetent, you are left with only one alternative, to get out of the way. And that you must do as quickly as possible and free our beloved country from your excruciating incompetence. And as was said before, you can slide out. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I support the motion wholeheartedly, and I ask all of us to support this motion.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that this House to now adjourn to Monday, the 25th day of June, at which time we will be at 1:30 p.m., at which time we will be doing the corporation tax bill, and we will also be doing the amendments to the land package that came from the Senate.
Honorable members, there is one matter that qualifies to be raised on the motion for the adjournment of the House. I will now call on the honorable member for Barataria Sanwa.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I take no joy in bringing this motion to the House today. I'm not here to offend the Nursing Council or anyone, but sometimes for a process to move forward, a system has to work efficiently. And if system working efficiently has to be determined equality for all. I have been in my constituency office, and certain matters of the Nursing Council registration of nurses and also enrolled nursing assistants have been brought to my attention. And I brought it to this Honorable House to indicate to the Minister of Health if he could enter this process and assist rather than it going to the length of legal action. You see, Mr. Deputy Speaker, what has happened when I was the former Minister of Health, these matters came to the office of the Minister, where registered nurses who were qualified in foreign jurisdictions and were also Trinidadians tried to become registered in Trinidad and Tobago. And we came and we had this debate on the Nursing and Midwives Act, a new act basically called the Nursing Personnel Act. And the Member of Parliament for San Fernando West remembered quite a lot, and also the Member for Digo Northeast. We changed the method of approach, but to make it easier, however, with the proper grievance process for people who have applied to become registered nurses in Trinidad and Tobago who are also registered in a foreign jurisdiction, and also the enrolled nursing assistants to be on the roll. You see, Mr. Deputy Speaker, what had come to our attention in those days, once a council was there to do the registration, the council somehow becomes a law to itself. You have the dental council, the medical council, you have the professions related to medicine, that council, who refused to give the Ayurvedic medicine registration in this country. So we are looking at another nursing council, and when I put the motion, the unprofessional conduct, I know it would raise some eyebrows, but what I would like to say, and I'll use an example of a young lady who came to me called Miss Shadi Naomi Day, and she was a registered nurse from Florida, and I have here her nursing license. She's a registered nurse, and the license, which is license number RN 9446784, she graduated from with a BSc from the University of Florida, and also was offered jobs in Florida. And this says the registered nurse named below has met all requirements of the laws and rules of the state of Florida. Now, this young lady also passed the NCLX exam. Now, that is an exam that registered nurses in the United States of America. Our nurses, when they do go to America, have to write this exam, and then they are accepted to practice. Now, this is a young lady who has a BSc in nursing and also has passed the NCLX exam, came to Trinidad and Tobago, and applied in February 2017 to become a nurse. Now, this is an example of what is occurring. She went into the Nursing Council and met one Miss Mackenzie, Miss Mackenzie told her she has to come in and bring her copies of the license as well as the certification. After that, nothing was heard. March, April, and they kept going. And then eventually she re-inquired, and it said that she has to bring in original copies. So each time that you went in, and after that, they said you have to bring in your birth certificate. So each time that this young lady, and this has been reported on other matters, kept going forward to go into the nursing council, what happened was another hula hoop that kept going. And this brought to mind exactly what was occurring when I was the minister and I had to change the law, this type of behavior by nursing council. Now, when it did occur, February, March, April 2017, nothing, no communication, no direct communication, nothing, not even a phone call. And it continued like that. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, would you realize that in February 2018, a letter was generated but not communicated. Why? Where the nursing council wrote this young lady who had passed all her exams from a recognized university, from a recognized school of nursing, and indicated, I'm directed to inform you that the council, after reviewing your transcript of studies, you did not, your training in Florida, and she's a registered nurse in Florida, did not meet the required criteria for registration as a general nurse in Trinidad and Tobago. So it happened to nurses in England coming to Trinidad. It happens to nurses from Canada, nurses from Australia, nurses from India, nurses from Nigeria, nurses from St. Vincent. All have a problem. But what I would like to say is that Cuban nurses who do not come from a recognized university of a school of nursing, as well as don't speak the language to any extent, they get temporary license. So what is good for one has to be good for all. Now, I don't have much, I know we don't have much time. What I'm saying is that this is the kind of conduct that we sought to dissipate when we brought in the new Nursing Personnel Act. And the Nursing Personnel Act allows for grievances method. Now, when you have an applicant going to a nursing council, you are supposed to be able to get a document saying that what are the rules, what are the regulations, what are the protocols, what are the guidelines, as well as what are the grievance processes. Nothing was available, and the lay secretary, Ms. Mackenzie, indicated to the young lady that nothing was available. They don't have that in place. We changed the composition of the nursing council to give the minister...
Could you just repeat the last part, please?
Which part?
Part where you said just before Ms. Mackenzie. I just didn't catch
Okay,
that.
well, I'm saying that Ms. Mackenzie, right, there was no protocols, no training materials, no application processes, nothing to be given, as well as no grievance processes, nothing. And those are the things that normally would be given to an applicant if you search the internet on the English website, etc. Now, what I'm also saying, one thing that the Nursing Council lacked was communication with the applicants. And this also goes with the enrolled nursing assistants who, from Trinidad and Tobago, who passed the enrolled nursing exam from the School of Nursing, could be Costat. One Miss Leona Dagazon and another girl, Akida Flavery. They came to the constituency office and they indicated that they had passed the exam, they had applied to the Nursing Council. The Nursing Council had not seen it fit to communicate with them, and at the end of the day, it seemed to have handpicked certain other enrolled nursing assistants, nursing assistants from the nursing assistant program, and given them the enrolled nursing numbers, whereas these girls did not get it. And they're trying to figure out what is the cause, and it's almost been about since September 2017. So what I'm asking the minister to look into, now this thing is, this one with the registered nurse went to the Ministry of Health and asked for assistance. And in the Ministry of Health, the legal team, the legal people there, indicated to her, yes, they will look into it. And they have meetings with the Nursing Council, and I think every month or 2 weeks or whatever it is. It wasn't brought up until after, and then she was then told that you have not you know, you've not, your grievance, it was not any guideline of 30 days or 35 days or something.
Remember, you have 2 more minutes.
Yes. And what I'm indicating that I would like the minister to look at it. Look at it and see if you come up with a system, because it's happening right through the system with registered nurses coming back to Trinidad and Tobago, be it foreign nurses or our local citizens. And also, if you could put a system in place and guidelines for the Nursing Council, because I think you do have the mandate with the amount of people on the board now to do it. So that's the plea I would like to do for these young ladies.
I'll now recognize the Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I need to read into the Hansard verbatim the matter. The unprofessional conduct and bureaucracy of the Nursing Council in Trinidad and Tobago in registering nurses who are returning citizens during a time when there's a shortage of nurses in the public health sector. So it revolves around nurses who are returning citizens. Mr. Deputy Speaker, over the past 2 years, there have only been about 10 applicants like that who are returning, only 10. So the way the motion is phrased, during a time when there's a shortage of nurses, 10 over 2 years is not going to make a material difference. The returning nationals fall into 2 categories, either locally trained, so you were trained here, you went abroad, and you are coming back. Or you're a national, you went abroad to train, and you are coming back. So there are 2 categories of returning nationals, those who were trained here and those who were trained abroad. Of the 10, 2 are locally trained and seeking to return, 2. And all they have to do is to keep up with their annual fees, pay their fees, and they are registered. Absolutely no problem. For the 8 over the past 2 years who are foreign trained, so this is not a crisis in terms of numbers. All they have to do is to apply to the Nursing Council with the appropriate documentation, the right to the institution, get their transcripts. Once they get, as is normal for any professional body, you write to the university to get the original transcripts, right? Whether it's for medicine, whether it's for engineering, whether it's for nursing, any professional seeking to work in a country, you normally write to the awarding university to get the transcripts sent directly, not to the student, sent directly to the appropriate authority. Once that transcript is received, it goes to the Nursing Council, who then sends it to the Education Committee of the Council, who makes a recommendation. If they make a positive recommendation, they are registered. If they make a negative recommendation for whatever reasons, but what we have done so far, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the old registration process used to take between 8 to 12 months, could take up to a year. Now we have taken that down to 3 to 4 months. Now, I wasn't aware that the member was going to bring a specific case with a specific person, so I did not have the luxury of investigating a specific case, which can be done. But in any profession, especially that to do with medicine or allied health services, where you are dealing with the lives of persons, there is a higher duty of care, as I suppose we could all agree, that when you are admitting people to practice in your home country, you have a higher duty of care to vet, to verify, and to scrutinize certification. And the Nursing Council, as a regulatory body, exists to maintain the integrity of the profession, as well as the general welfare of the public. I want to put that on record. Unlike other professions, you are talking about people who have the public's lives in their hands. So if the Nursing Council, and I must congratulate the current president of the Nursing Council, President Murphy, I think he's an excellent person, working under very difficult circumstances, as you know, member for Barataria San Juan. But that's another That's another story, as you rightly see. And allied to that maintenance of the integrity of the profession, as well as the general welfare of members of the public, they have a duty to scrutinize qualifications, scrutinize work experience, find out if their work experience is actually true, valid number of hours, and so on. So I have no doubt that the Nursing Council and President Murphy is acting with the public's interests at heart. As to your specific claim, if you give it to me, I give you the undertaking. You know I'm a man of my word. I will give you an undertaking to look at that specific claim. But I have all confidence in the Nursing Council. I have all confidence in President Murphy. And let me just, for the public, tell you what are some of the steps that we have to follow to get enrolled. So what we start off with, if I can get my paper going, is that originals are checked with the light according to procedures at the fraud seminar done with ACCTT, and double-checked by the registrar, who then signs it off. On return of the completed ST form, a verification is then forwarded to the Nursing Council, who completes it and returns it to the actual council. On receipt of all documents on behalf of an applicant, the file is then forwarded to the Education Committee, which I spoke to earlier. Depending on the recommendations, a letter is sent to the applicant informing them of the outcome of their application with the next step to be taken, and then you go to the interview stage. As happened to anyone, any Trinidadian who wants to work abroad in any profession, medicine, nursing, pharmacy, dentistry, all that, we have to jump through the same hoops abroad. And then, if they are successful at the interview, the applicant then proceeds to 12 weeks pre-registration experiences or orientation. But to speed up the registration member for Barataria Samoa, this 12-week pre-registration period has been abolished. So that speeds up the process. And then on completion of the above appraisals, they are then forwarded to the council for a response. So we have curtailed this long, drawn-out process, which used to take 8 to 12 months. We now have it down to 3 to 4 months. I don't know why this particular case got caught up. Maybe there were some red flags in her resume, some red flags in the transcript. I don't know, because I was not furnished with that. But you furnish it to me, and I will make sure to look into it and have the matter amicably resolved in the shortest period of time. Yes. I thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Honorable members, the question is that this House do now adjourn to Monday, the 25th of June, 2018 at 1:30 p.m. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? The ayes have it. This House now stands adjourned to Monday, 25th June, 2018 at 1:30 p.m.